I'm Dutch, and let's react to the Americans. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan, and I'm a typical Dutchman. And if you're planning to come over to Europe for your holidays, or maybe to live here permanently, or if you're wondering how is life in Europe in comparison with the United States, then you are at the right channel, because in this channel I take a look at and react to videos about life and living in America versus life and living in Europe, or specifically the Netherlands. And for today we're going to take a look at a video from The Pod Abroad. We're going to start with a subscribe and a like, of course. And she is going to talk, I guess, it's a podcast, but I guess she want to talk about why I won't move back to Texas after 9 years in Germany. So she is still living in Germany, and she was not thinking about going back to Texas ever. Maybe to another state, but not to Texas. I wonder why. So let's take a look at it. Why she isn't.
Imagine this. I'm 21 years old, just got to Germany, and I'm needing to walk alone at night from place to place to meet my friends for dinner. And it's pitch black, and I got to walk 10 minutes, and it's scaring the shit out of me. 2 years later, can take a breath and breathe and realize, okay, I guess this is really what people do here, and this is okay. I didn't know. I didn't know a life of being able to walk at night.
Paulina de los Santos. Paulina. Yeah, okay. The opening is already, it's safer in Germany.
Howdy und servus, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of The Pod Abroad. My name is Paulina de los Santos, and I'm an American who has lived in Munich, Germany for the last 9 years.
Oh, it's the other one? We've got Feely from Germany who had lived, because she's now back in Germany, but she has lived in the United States for the last, I believe, also 9 years or so. And now she is back. Okay. And now she is over here.
On this podcast, I also have conversations with several of my international friends who are also based here in Munich, and we share our lived experiences and stories, cultural differences here as well. So if it's your first time, thanks a lot for listening in, and consider subscribing, commenting, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Subscribing, commenting, liking. I would really appreciate it. Do it. It's just a simple click, and it means so much to me.
Today, I wanted to speak all about reasons why I wouldn't want to move back to Texas. I am originally from Texas. For context, I moved to Germany in 2016 when I was 21 years old. I just turned 30 2 months ago, and yesterday, August 31st, I celebrated 9 years since I first entered this country. I have a stamp in my old passport that says August 31st, 2016. So it's been a whole 9 years. And
at the age of 21, for what reason, I wonder? At the age of 21, she came over.
with that, of course, every year comes brings reflection, and just really looking back and seeing, like, yeah, all the things that I've enjoyed here, reasons why I don't think I would want to go back. And I think it's kind of even scary saying that out loud, because for several years I was extremely indifferent, or I guess, is that benevolent? That I didn't know. People asking me back home, like, oh, well, like, would you ever move back? Would you ever move back? And quite honestly, I would always say, like, I don't know, possibly, like, if it felt right. And I mean, I'll never say never. My family and really good friends still live in Texas. I have two brothers, my dad, my 94-year-old grandpa and grandma are there. Um, there's a lot of beautiful things where I'm from. And I want to preface this episode and also saying that this is in no way meant to shit on where I'm from. I guess I'm just kind of going to get real with the feelings that I am confronted with in my brain on a daily.
Yeah, if you're 9 years already here, then it's hard to consider from going back to the United States. The shock, the culture shock you get after 9 years living abroad in Germany and then going back. I've seen several videos about it. That's a hard thing to do. And if you have already lived here in Europe, in Germany for 9 years, then you feel comfortable. And yeah, it's friends, family over there, but your life is over here. It could be a hard decision to go back or not to go back. But she's not planning to at this moment.
And I think it's nice to kind of share that and share what's on my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was last week that there was a shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the US, in a Catholic church where two children were killed and several injured.
Okay. I I do not know about all the shootings that there are in the last couple of months, but it's one more that I hear that happened in the last couple of months.
And
And sadly, two kids were killed. That's yeah.
in my time here in Germany, many people have asked me throughout the many shootings that have happened in the US, people ask me here like, "Oh, have you become desensitized though? Because like, oh, you must be kind of used to it." And my answer is always no. It hurts every time. And
You don't get immune for people shooting other people, and especially when there are kids involved. It's no.
every time something like this happens, I mean, we go through circles, I guess, in our heads. And people in the US say thoughts and prayers, of course, which we all know is inevitably not enough. We go through this vicious cycle of wanting gun control, wanting better for our country. Then there's fights against both parties, and nothing ends up changing. I mean, Sandy Hook Elementary School, the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida, several shootings in between. Like, we haven't changed, and I quite frankly don't see us changing, though I so deeply wish we could. So
Yeah, it's one of the hardest topics in the United States when you're talking about the Second Amendment. It's always a lot of discussion from both sides, and my opinion is, yeah, you should get rid of those and make a proper law that you can only carry arms when there's absolutely the when it's necessary to have a militia, an armed militia to fight against, but not by default having arms. I don't. I can understand that people want and feel the need to defend themselves, but keep it by the point that it was originally by the four founding fathers meant to, when a state feels the need to protect themselves from any incursion into the state, and they have the need for militia, then the militia should have the right to bear arms. I fully understand that, although we now have reserves who coming in and all kinds of other solutions to this. But if that would be like it was, the principle of you can bear arms when you are part of a militia, But that's not how it goes nowadays. And so there are a lot of shootings that I do not understand why it's still happening, and nobody is. Yeah, yeah, I do understand because of the many discussions and the money involved in this.
So those are just some of the thoughts I had, and I wanted to share the story that I wrote back in May 2023. So a little over 2 years ago. And I think that this story is very, very relevant for this episode now. So mind you, I was 2 years younger, and this was just, a story that I had posted online with like my deepest, sincerest thoughts. It goes, the last weeks have been particularly hard on me. Reading the news on my home state of Texas at this point is just disheartening and exhausting. There was a shooting near Conroe, where my friend Ashley lives. The man was found in Cut and Shoot. Can you believe that's the name of a town? There
What? A town called Cut and Shoot?
was yet another shooting at a mall in Allen, a city where my aunt lives. In my home region of the Rio Grande Valley, a man ran over and killed 8 people in Brownsville. These people were migrants seeking a better life, most likely a safer life. When will it stop? It feels like nowhere is safe. Growing up in Texas, I was acutely aware of the violence around me, though it didn't feel nearly close to the magnitude of what it is today. I'm not sure I want to have children one day, though I often do sympathize for people doing so right now in Texas, in a country/state where there is no minimum wage for maternity leave, where 6 weeks of paid maternity leave is a dream, and off goes the newborn to a daycare because the mom has to work to live. You know, I'd never heard of paternity leave until I was 22 years old and in my first working student position in Germany. I was stunned and still found it amusing that it had never crossed my mind in the US that maybe, just maybe, a father or both parents should be involved in raising their child.
Never crossed their mind. It's over here the most natural thing. Yeah, of course, both parents need to be involved. It never crossed her mind at the age of 22. No, yeah.
What a concept. Parents in the US have to worry about their children in ways that here in Germany one never fathoms. Parents in Texas are equipping their children with bulletproof panels in their backpacks.
What? Bulletproof panels in the backpack. Yeah, I seen a short a couple of days ago. I reacted to it live. I reacted to it in the video about a mom who was leaving for the Netherlands because she feared that she would bring her kids to school one day and will never get them back alive. Yeah, it's hard that people leaving the United States in fear of the health of their kids.
Their children are going through active shooter drills
Yeah.
starting in elementary school. In Germany, children are
Active shooting drills? Really?
walking to school alone. In Germany, children are walking to school alone, playing on the playground alone. The US is feeling like a bad dream, though it's not a dream. And this reality is what the country has become. How is it that people can honestly believe that they're living in the greatest country on earth? The amount of brainwashing is astonishing, and quite frankly, I feel really sorry for these people. It's incredibly sad that they have not accepted the state of their environment as normal. They have not only accepted the state of their environment as normal, but think that this is as best as it gets. It's a level of delusion and ignorance that is oddly understandable. Ignorance is indeed bliss, and it's so easy just to accept things when that's the standard mindset surrounding you. I have to humble myself and remember that I was once the girl who protested outside of an abortion clinic when I was 15 one Saturday morning. My Catholic church had told me to do it for the babies and that there would be lunch provided. That was enough for me.
Okay. If you go there to protest, you get lunch. Free lunch.
And I'm sure in that moment, I genuinely thought I was doing good. I've come so far. I have a necklace in the shape of Texas that I've worn almost every day the last several years. A symbol of my pride for where I'm from. A symbol for the love I have for my home and the people there. For the first time, this past week, I felt an ugly feeling while putting it on. I don't know what to make of that feeling, but I'm still wearing it. I often feel guilt for leaving and never moving back to do anything about it. Who am I just to bitch from afar? This year, I was proud to have gathered $2,500 in donations from my former high school classmates to provide scholarships to 4 students. $625 isn't much in a country where higher education is a business out to suck you dry, though perhaps the small things help too.
Yeah, it's big business in comparison with Europe.
I so deeply wish that students could pursue higher education without going into mass amounts of debt. In moments of deep anger towards my home state, I remember the great people who are there actively trying to make it better for so many. My younger brother, who is currently in a firefighting academy right now, shout out Kiko, 2 years later, he's a firefighter.
Okay.
Anyway, he wants a life of doing good and helping those in need. Osmara is working for Texas Rising, fighting for inclusivity, equality, and social justice. Cody is becoming a lawyer, wanting to defend those in need. Luis, being a nurse, having worked through COVID and still working crazy hours every week. These people and many others inspire me and are the reason why I haven't completely given up hope. There is still so much good. Don't get me wrong. I don't think you have to work a life-changing job to do good. Spread life-changing energy. We can all spread kindness every day by the people who we interact with. Don't be a dick. And then I wrote, though Germany desperately needs this message. They say when all said and done, when we're gone, people aren't going to remember what we accomplished, rather how we treated them. So my wish for Texas is that we sprinkle good energy wherever we go and don't give up the good fight. Remember that y'all means all and don't lose hope. As exhausting as this may be, I somehow haven't lost hope. And that was written in 2023, 2 years ago. So,
Wow. Her thoughts at that moment. And she's open about it. Yeah, it's a hard. It's the conflict within her. Do I, leave Texas? Do I forget? Not forget, but am I disappointed by the United States and don't think about it, or do I still feel hope because a lot of people are studying the right stuff? Yeah, it's the eternal question and discussion with yourself and with your own feelings and your mind if you go or won't go.
So I wanted to share that here and kind of reflect on those sentiments after 9 years of living in Germany. I've always said that when I think of my home state of Texas, I think of a parent's relationship with their teenage son or daughter, child, that is complicated, very complicated. And that I guess when your son or daughter deeply hurts you, you don't just give up on them. Like, you're disappointed, but you still love them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit how I feel towards where I'm from. I am constantly being disappointed, and yet I still deeply love where I'm from. So it is conflicting. And I think a lot of people who leave their home countries or states that feel problematic to them can also relate with this feeling of longing for the beautiful people and culture that you know, but the confliction that also relates to government and um, everything in between. You know.
Yeah, I cannot. It's impossible for me to to imagine because I live in Europe, in the Netherlands, and in Europe all my life, and I've been all around Europe in a lot of countries. And when I'm coming back home, I'm coming back home, and it's for me. I cannot imagine how it feels like being away from home for more than a year, let's say, and then I don't. It's
What I mean? So, with all that being said, reasons why I don't want to move back to Texas. Starting off, let's get into lifestyle and quality of life in general. Um,
yeah. That's gonna be the biggest one. The quality of life differences in living over here in Europe, in Germany in this case, and in the United States. That's always the biggest one. And I guess she's pointing to safety, feeling safe, having good food, fresh food, and I guess quality of life that she is also we will refer to free studies and low rents or something in those regions.
First off, I wanted to say public transport and walkability.
Yeah.
That in Munich, where I'm currently living in Germany, you can rely on trams, trains, bikes. Texas is very car dependent, which means traffic, higher costs. If I moved back to Texas, I would have no choice but to buy a vehicle, which would be a massive expense. And interestingly enough, I lived like the first 5 years of Germany, like here in Germany, without a car, and I felt so free. One would think like in the US, if you're thinking kind of linearly, like in the cities that we have in Texas, one would think like life without a car is limiting because it is in Texas, but that's not how it is everywhere else in cities in Europe that have great public transportation. Life without a car can be very, very liberating and freeing, not having to spend several hours a day commuting through traffic. Maybe you spend several hours on public transport instead, but at least you can read a book and it's just a bit more relaxed in that sense. And
Yeah. The comparison in time is, of course, depending on where you live in Germany and where you work, several hours uh, usually means that you're crossing all across Germany from all the way up to all the way down because with all the high speed connections, then you have a train that, for several hours you can cross the entire Germany, uh, yeah, with a high speed train. We're talking about buses and trams, and then usually it will take maybe an hour or hour and a half to get from home to work with public transportation and walkable. Yeah, that's something you cannot do in the United States. Don't you need a car or do you not need a car? No, you do not need a car. It's a handy tool to have, it's a luxurious tool to have. But over here in the Netherlands and in Germany and in Belgium and France, you can get everywhere. Uh, Also, Switzerland, Austria, everywhere in Europe, you can get from home to your work without actually needing a car. Having a car is more luxurious item to make it life more easier. If you have to bring in a lot of groceries or heavy stuff you cannot bring in with public transportation, then it's good to have a car. But it's absolutely not necessary to have a car for your job or in your daily life.
Just different. So very much appreciate that. Very much appreciate the walkability of where I'm living in Germany. And you just don't get that where I am from. So that would be very, very hard. The first time I took my boyfriend to visit my home state, he had never been to the US before.
Mm.
Background is that he is German, but grew up in South Africa. So he's going to Texas and
From South Africa to Germany. Wow, that's also a big move.
he can relate a lot actually because where he grew up in Stellenbosch near Cape Town, it's also car dominant. He said though, after living many years in Germany now, like when he went to Texas and came back 2 weeks later, he was like, I missed walking. And that's kind of the truth. Like we don't walk nearly as much in a day-to-day in Texas life, and I would deeply miss that. That'd be a big reason like why I wouldn't want to move back because I greatly value my active lifestyle. In Munich, healthcare costs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Also, a topic.
Healthcare system in the US, super, super complicated. Germany has a universal healthcare system. Universal means that it's mandatory for everybody to be covered here. It does not mean that it's free. It's not free. You're forced to pay for it, but it's for the best and something that I am greatly appreciative of. You don't get price gouged in Germany the way you do in the US through private hospitals and with your private insurers. It makes me so mad how people don't find out like what their bill is until they've already been charged and you have to ask for an itemized list and you see that like they're adding all these expenses. It's just insane. Or when you look at the costs of essential medicine.
Yeah. Going back a few minutes, because yeah, it's mandatory in the Netherlands and in most of the European countries, EU countries, that you need to have a healthcare insurance. So it's not for free. You're forced to pay your healthcare insurance. Although the healthcare, I do not know how large it is in Germany, but over here in the Netherlands, your health insurance is within the range of 150 and 180, 85 a month. That's it, all it. Then you have over here in the Netherlands, again, I do not know how it is in Germany exactly, but over in the Netherlands, then you have an out-of-pocket cost of 385 max. As in, for the rest of the year, nothing else matters. 385 out of pocket. And there is not, like I know in the United States, a copay. And then you have an X amount of copay. And after you reach your copay maximum, then the rest of the cost is for the insurance. We don't have that. And I know they don't have it in Germany. I don't know the exact numbers. But you have your basic insurance, then you have your out-of-pocket costs, and that's it. And not all out-of-pocket costs, now I say it wrong, not all not all doctors' actions, all the things you do, are paid by your out-of-pocket costs. So a lot of those that doesn't interfere with your out-of-pocket costs. A lot of things are just for free, like having an ambulance riding you to the hospital.
You just kind of can't believe that that's the reality, and it is in the US, and it's disheartening. I think like the struggle of healthcare is something that like I could hope majority of Americans can agree, regardless of which political side you lean, is like that healthcare is a big mess. um, like the system in the US, which is of course interesting because I've always said like we have some of the sharpest, brightest, most intelligent minds as well that go to study and become doctors in the US, some of the best in the world, best of the world surgeons and care, but for the people that can afford it. So that's a big difference. Something, yeah, that I wouldn't be happy with. Of course, all of this, like take all of this with a grain of salt. I might move back to Texas one day. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, okay. It's the big discussion within herself. Will I go back or won't I go back? Yeah. But not because of the healthcare and not because of the gun violence. Oh no, the walkability. She was talking about walkability and car dependence.
but
Yeah.
just something that I would deeply consider. Um, Another thing is safety, of
Mm-hmm.
course. Um, I know better now. Growing up in Texas, I don't think I was necessarily concerned because I didn't know. You don't know like your true situation until you leave it. Um, Imagine this. I'm 21 years old, just got to Germany, and I'm needing to walk alone at night from place to place to meet my friends for dinner. And it's pitch black, and I gotta walk 10 minutes, and it's scaring the shit out of me. Um, 2 years later,
Yeah, as a 21-year-old young girl, 10 minutes, pitch black, walking through an unknown city, it could be scary. It really could be, except in Germany.
can take a breath and breathe and realize, okay, I guess this is really what people do here, and this is okay. Um, I didn't know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know a life of being able to walk at night. Um, and that is so freeing and such a beautiful thing. Um, I grew up in South Texas near the Mexican border. For sure, there are safety concerns that nobody would ever think of here in Munich. Um, yeah, and gun violence in general. I don't worry about gun violence in Munich. When I go back to Texas, I'm a little sometimes on edge. Um, One cannot live in fear. I understand that. And to my friends that may be watching this from Texas, like, um, yeah, I'm not saying any of this to like to offend anyone of just saying that like I mean I know that's y'all's reality of just like it being in the back of your head and it's not going to stop you from going out. It can't, right? Nevertheless, because I've lived in a place now where we don't ever think of this when I go back, like I'm like, wow, oh yeah, that's a possibility. I probably shouldn't honk at the person with road rage on the highway because it could be that they have a gun and they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
point it at me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not unheard of. So little things I thought, um, yeah, bother me and would be a reason like why I wouldn't want to go back. Everyone knows Texas, I guess, around the world to be like a gun-toting state. Um, yeah, it's not my vibe.
Is Texas, in considering to the Second Amendment, is Texas then even more because it's in the South, South versus North? Is Texas or the southern countries, the southern states, more um, not more violent, more more adamant in having a gun than there is in the northern states. It's they, they fight more aggressively for their right to bear arms than they do in other states. I don't know. Are they?
Definitely not something that like I align with. I think I want to be very clear that like I don't support, I guess, taking everyone's guns away and like banning guns, but like there has to be some additional measures for people to legally obtain guns. I don't think that people need um automatic like assault rifles. Like for what? For what? If you were to ask a German, y'all, like For them, it just doesn't make sense. And that's so refreshing. Like when
Hmm.
I first moved to Germany, I'm just like, oh yeah, like this sucks about Texas, like something that would be probably really taboo to say amongst peers where I'm from. And here they're just like, yeah, that's crazy. So you feel validated, man. Like coming to Germany and thinking what I think. Yeah, being a Democrat, left leaning, and that's just kind of normal here in Germany. You don't feel you don't feel like a nut. And
Yeah. Everybody, yeah, of course. Why should you fight for your right to bear arms? We don't, if you need to have a gun, you can get, but through the proper ways with the proper permits, and those permits are not easy to get. And also depending on what kind of weapon you want, because I had a gun also over here for my shooting sport, but that was on air, so easier to get an air uh, powered gun or rifle in this case, not a gun, versus having it's so hard to get this done in the United States. But I already commented on it earlier in the video how I think about it.
that's a nice feeling of solidarity. Career and finances. So salaries and cost of living. People have also asked, like, oh, well, couldn't you make much more money in Texas, like working at a big corporate? Yeah, sure, I could, but everything's relative, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one would need a car, like I said. Rents are also crazy high. Some employers like don't have insurance packages with your job, so you'd have to purchase that on top. Um, yeah, there's a lot of expenses. So I've always told people, yeah, the salaries are higher because you need them. You need the money. If you're in Austin or like living in Dallas or Houston, kind of necessary now. And like grocery prices are skyrocketing and all of that. So although salaries in general are lower in Germany versus my home state,
Mm-hmm.
everything is relative. And at the end of the day, I could also be saving just as much or more living here versus having a higher salary with a higher cost of living in Texas.
Yeah, that's often the argument that I hear from other Americans too, that they say, yeah, you don't earn enough in Europe, no matter country, Netherlands, Germany, or any other, because I can earn twice as much in the United States, but you also don't need as much money to live over here in the Netherlands or in Germany. So in comparison, like she said, you don't necessarily need a car. You don't necessarily need to have your own insurance for healthcare. You feel safer, so you don't need a gun. But there is a lot of stuff that you don't need, and I had already pointed out if you earn over here in the Netherlands uh, like 40K a year, it would be enough. It would be enough to have a decent life, to have a car, to go on holidays, and to eat whatever you want to eat, and have fun, and go out and watch movies. And it's enough. 40K a year. And then somebody reacted in the comments that for 40K a year in the United States, you can hardly pay the rent. Very, but you need at least double 80K to 100K a year to live only in the United States to do whatever you want, and that's so the cost of living is much lower over here, even with the high tax rate, because that's also an argument. Yeah, you pay a lot of taxes, but you don't need the money for everything. You need money in United. No, that's the wrong way. You don't need money to do stuff over here in Europe that you actually need a lot of money for in the United States. So yeah.
Germany's social safety net, something that I greatly, greatly appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Germany has unemployment benefits,
Mm-hmm.
job protections,
Mm-hmm.
maternity, paternity leave, And all those things are far stronger than what is established or not established in the state of Texas. Something that I do value for sure. Work life balance in general, also. Germany enforces stronger labor protections from a federal level as well, more vacation days. Like they have a national, like mandatory minimum,
Mm-hmm.
which I believe is 21 days a year.
Yeah, 21 could be 21, but I think more in 25, I believe, because it's talking about working days. So 21 days doesn't mean 3 weeks, as she calls it, 21 days, 21 or 25. That's why I'm thinking 25, because in with the weekends in it, 25 is 5 weeks, 5 days a week. So 25 is it's because the weekends don't count in your 25 days. Or if she says it's 21, then it's 21 working days, meaning from Monday to Friday. It's not counted in the other days that you actually have free already, Saturday and Sunday. And then there is, of course, the other Christian days like Christmas and Eastern, and a lot of those days are free too. And then there's the day of labor, Labor Day, also in Germany, free day, and a lot of days in Germany that you have also mandatory free, paid free days. Yeah. So there are a lot of days that you don't need to work and get your batteries charged. I love that expression.
Shorter working hours compared to most jobs in Texas as well. I mean, this is a generalization, but um, in Texas, people are also paid like on salary. So sometimes if you have overtime, that doesn't factor into your pay. Whereas, like at many big corporates here in Munich, if you're not at an executive or higher level, you're tracking your hours, which is something I think is very, very cool. Um, Moving on, political climate in general.
Ooh, hot topic, political climate.
Texas has more conservative policies against women rights, immigration, climate change, gun laws, LGBTQ plus laws that I just am not in alignment with in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And that's something that deeply bothers me. When I think about this, I think, of course, like maybe one doesn't feel that on a day to day basis, like the actions of your state government. But more and more, like it is becoming apparent to people. Like, I think anyone, like, can anyone in Munich could agree that some of the legislation that Texas has passed, like, is so barbaric, outdated, and there's just so many things. Like the Texas government consistently
Yeah, I need examples, otherwise I cannot comment to it.
there's just so many things. Like the Texas government consistently lets me down. I think the last few weeks I'm like in my whole world of reading the news, and I'm sure like any German watching like maybe not be like might not be aware. Um but there is a lot of gerrymandering happening right now in Texas, and it passed because they're trying to get more seats from Texas. And gerrymandering means that they're redistributing voting districts within Texas to benefit Republicans right now. So, because of that, Texas Democrats left the state so that the bill wouldn't pass. And nevertheless, it did when they had to return. It was just very complicated and very sad to see the desperate measures that Texas politicians are taking in order to still remain in power and to like please the president. Just plain dirty. And it's just something so sad. Sometimes I'm just like wondering with the Germans, like, what is wrong? Like, how can they not see the harm that they're doing on their own people? Nevertheless,
Yeah, looking from the outside in, yeah, we do. From Europe, and not only me, but of course, I hear people around me and seeing news from over here talking about the United States. People don't understand. They cannot understand from why are these people, these politicians, whatever side of the aisle there is, doing this willingly, knowingly hurting their own constituents, hurting and people. Why are they doing this? It's we cannot understand that. That's something that's how can you be a state representative? I will not talk about the idiot that's called the president right now, but you, to be a state representative and hurting your own people by doing this kind of stuff. It's I and a lot of my Europeans cannot understand why is this happening. Yeah.
Nevertheless, it persists, and it's just something that like I get exhausted by. Um, I realize, like I said, reading the news and everything, like I'm only going to see the worst of it in Texas. There are so many incredible people fighting hard for Texans' rights on a daily, and I have
Yeah, I seen Jasmine Crockett. She is very popular. She is very popular and very good, doing good stuff over there. I love her.
nothing but respect for them. Um, Nevertheless, it's just yeah, it's very sad reading all these new tidbits of information about what's happening in Texas and yeah. I mean, at the same time I could say of course like politics in Germany like um aren't the best right now with the rise of the
Extreme right.
AfD, the
Yeah.
AfD party.
The extreme right. Yeah. It's the Netherlands the same, but it's like she said, it's the party AfD because it's one of the many parties, and so in the Netherlands also one of the many parties, and they need to find a coalition between several parties with several points of views to become the majority, to have the majority within the government. It's not one party that can do this because it's not a two-party system.
Um that's like extreme
Right.
right wingers.
Yeah.
So yeah, oof, politics in general, right? Super painful when I think about Texas. Some more practical things moving on is the weather. So it's not going to get any better. It really won't. Like in Munich, we have four seasons that we can very clearly distinguish by
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. Except it's been raining this past summer, so don't know about that. But in Texas, we kind of just have two seasons, hot and hotter. And
Hot and hotter. Okay. Yeah.
like I said, with the rise of climate change, like the intensity and frequency of catastrophic events will also, yeah, increase. And as yeah, the weather will get hotter. It's just like not gonna get any better. And that's the reality, the dark reality. Also, I'm like reflecting on this summer in general and the flooding that happened in Texas, that took the lives of so many at the summer camp, Camp Mystic. I was in Texas back in June when that happened as well, and just devastating. And one begins to wonder like how can we better prepare ourselves for these inevitable events that will return. And that does go down to policy and political spending and like there were just so many things that went wrong.
Yeah, I was understanding that FEMA was not, wasn't there, wasn't even considered to send FEMA, or there's not enough money for FEMA, or it was downsized, something like that. That I have somewhere in the back of my mind. That's that was going about FEMA. FEMA should be there to help out people, and they weren't there because of the policies.
That's I saw videos online of city officials from that area in Texas like saying we don't want handouts from Biden, like when they had been identified as a flood zone and wanted to fund sirens, things like that just make sense. During the whole incidents, people were saying online, like, don't make this political. It's a tragedy. This is so sad. Now it's not the time to talk about politics. Two things can be right at the same time. It can be extremely tragic and political. And I think we often I go back to politics knowing that nothing changes with hopes and prayers, like hope and prayer. Um, that's a sad reality, right? Hope and prayer is nothing without action and legislation. And sometimes, yeah, that's just so fleeting. Like I don't hold so much hope when Texas repeatedly votes against things that could be helping communities. Geography in general. I think it would be hard to be in one place for so long. I know Texas is not far from like Central America, from Mexico, of course. Um, and the US is a country of great diversity as well. But when it comes to like deep cultural diversity, I much prefer right now living in Munich, being able to go to France, Spain,
Oh yeah.
Italy, Switzerland, Netherlands, and it all not being so far from me. I think it's so incredible getting to learn about different cultures. I
Oh yeah, especially when you're in Munich. Well, when you're in Munich, it's what, 100? Yeah, maybe not even. Yeah, 100 miles. And if you go for 100 miles in a circle around Munich, you have Switzerland, you have Liechtenstein, you have Austria, and you have Italy. And I'm guessing that you also reach it so within 100 miles, Croatia, and very careful, I also think Poland. So, yeah, so roughly in a circle around Munich, you get to 6 or 7 different countries. You won't reach. Can you reach Spain within 100 miles? Maybe you could even reach Spain. And if you can reach Spain, you can also reach France, all within 100 miles of Munich.
think that would be very hard to feel a little bit more isolated for international travel, being in Texas. Just a small thing. I mean, of course, like it's a luxury for me and a privilege to be able to experience all of these very different cultures around me right now in Munich. That is not a given. I didn't leave my home state of Texas until I was 18 years old for the first time internationally when I went to Paris with
Oh,
my university, Texas A&M,
yeah.
and that kind of opened the doors and like opened my eyes to see a little bit, yeah, a little bit more of our world. And leaving the state is a massive expense, even for middle class families, to be able to go on vacations out of state, much less internationally. Like that's just also another, yeah, massive expense and not incredibly common, I would.
Yeah, and I saw comments on other videos of mine that people say, uh, willingly or unwilling, willingly, knowingly or unknowingly, the United States um, do not support visiting Europe in fear of that people will actually learn how it is, what actually is in Europe, and then leave the United States. I'm not sure how much of this is true, but I could imagine that willingly or non-willingly, knowingly or unknowingly, this happens in the United States to keep people inside the United States and not leaving because they fear that the working force will leave the United States. I don't know how much of this is true, but I could imagine that there are people who are doing this. Yeah.
Would say from a middle class family. Reasons why I would want to go back.
I was looking at the time that I'm recording. It's 5:55 already. Oh,
I
I'm talking a lot.
mean, my family's there, and it's still my home, regardless. So I think that's like, I finished up what I wanted to say about reasons why I wouldn't move back. And when I was thinking about what to say in this episode, I was really reflecting on all the things that I'm so grateful for here in Munich. And I will post an episode all about like reasons why I think that Munich is the best city
Oh, wow. The best city.
in Germany. Nevertheless, oof, it's hard, right? Like looking back and thinking like, why wouldn't I go back to my home state? And for many people in Germany, maybe a few years ago, not now, they probably like a lot of them wondered like, well, why aren't you going back to the US? Like, oh, I would kill to go to the US. The US is so cool. Y'all, I don't think we have that reputation anymore.
No, you don't. That reputation is gone. I was thinking about that one too. So one day I'm going to visit. I don't know how because I'm afraid of flying. I I got to visit the United States, but the last couple of years, yeah, especially the last half of a year, uh, I'm thinking about no way, no way, not even with $1 million, I will go over to the United States. No way.
A lot has happened in the 9 years that I have been here. People aren't craving the American dream
Hmm.
propaganda that the US is still trying to sell. It's just a different time. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful for my life here. I think every year I'm probably presented with the question in my head of should I go back? What does my life look like the next 5 years? And like I said, for many years, I was extremely indifferent. And now I am becoming more and more confident with seeing the next few years of my life, my long term life here. Oh, it also makes me nervous.
Yeah, the internal discussion is still there. I cannot imagine what she's going through. I cannot, but I can imagine in this part that time that the thing that she's talking about. It's a real thing. Should I or shouldn't I? Good things, bad things, positive, negatives, checking it off. Yeah, it's. I can imagine it's hard for her.
Saying that, right? Like nothing in life has to be permanent. But I really prefer the life that I have built here right now versus
The big difference with now 2025 and 9 years ago. It's although it's not that long ago, 9 years, but 9 years ago and now is the ways to communicate to the United States of family with voice over IP connections, internet. So it's while living over here, having a connection and talking to your family across the pond in the United States, it's much easier than I want to say 9 years ago, but 15 or 20 years ago, then when you actually going, it was not that easy to communicate because you had a phone and that's it. And now you have YouTube, you have the internet connection, all kinds of face-to-face communication software. So home being in the United States, having a connection with your family is much easier now than it was 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah. So, yeah.
where I'm from. And that hurts. I think it really hurts. It's like something bittersweet, something beautiful, because I have built community here, built some roots. Nevertheless, like Texas will always be home as well. And when I go home, I have a lot of reflection as well. Have so much
Although she still refers when I go home, as in I go home to my old home in Texas. So she's still seeing her parents' home as home. Yeah. She's not home here at in Germany, where she has a life and a boyfriend, and yeah. So she still refers to her parents' home as going home instead of being in Germany as being at home.
respect for a lot of things there too. I get to see friends that I grew up with that fill my cup with joy and gratitude and love. So it's a complicated thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I never want to say that I'll never, ever, ever go back, but for the meantime, right now in September 2025, I can say that I'm happy here with my life in
That's important. She feels happy. That's important. If you don't feel happy, then yeah.
Munich, and I really love it here. Who would have known that
A
21-year-old
21-year-old.
Paulina, who was coming here for a master's program that was supposed to be 2 years,
Oh, for a master's program, she came over. Ha ha. Yeah, because it's free.
21-year-old Paulina, who was coming here for a master's program that was supposed to be 2 years, would end up saying 9. I think that's insane. Next year, it'll be a whole decade. I have lived more of my adult life here in Munich, Germany, than I have in my home state of Texas. That's crazy. Crazy to think.
Home state of Texas. Okay, that's not home, but the home state of Texas.
And I'm better for it. I have been put through the ringer through bureaucracy and having to make new friends with people coming and going, and challenges, finding jobs, everything in between, learning the language, and the journey still goes on. So I think choosing a life of being an immigrant and living in a foreign country doesn't just come with positives. I also made a video a few weeks ago saying like reasons why you should move to Germany, and only said the positive things, though natürlich, like there's of
Naturally.
course so many
Yeah.
challenges that come with life of living abroad, but for the most part, I am very happy here and grateful.
And that's important. That's really important. That's why you're gonna leave the United States and coming over to Europe or to the Netherlands, I would say. But a lot of people now are leaving the United States because they want to be happy. They want to feel safe. But she came over for her studies, and then she felt that it was more that she has felt more safe, and that she have found happiness over here in Germany. It's good. I like it.
So, yeah, I will end the episode there. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any
Yeah, thank you too. It's what, an hour? Yeah.
perspective, comments, questions, feel free to leave them down below. I would love to see them, and yeah, thanks a lot.
Wow. A long video today, but good to hear her talk about the differences in life and living in Texas, in this case, and life and living in Europe. And I hope that I could give some extra information when necessary, or clarification when necessary. Yeah, but I'm happy for her that she has found her happiness over here in Germany, in Munich. Yeah. Well, if you like the video, then press like. And if you want to see more of my videos, then this is a good place to start with. And otherwise, you could hit the subscribe button. That would really, really be appreciated. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.